Well, hi everybody, and welcome to our Midlife Crisis series and our live stream. And so, as you can see, the topic today is why meditation works. And I have to say that when I was going through the early stages of midlife crisis, I didn't know it was happening to me. I didn't know what midlife crisis was, and I surely didn't know that I was in one. But I did know that any emotional and mental turmoil is improved with meditation. So I meditated a lot. And not all meditation techniques are equal for helping with a midlife crisis, which is something that I discovered on my own journey in learning to figure this out. And in this video, I'm going to share with you why meditation is the fastest path to success to getting to the end of stage 6, which is the last one in a midlife crisis in 3 years or less, which means that you can get back to the best parts of your life without the things that were holding you back and the ones that you probably weren't aware of or certainly didn't know how to get around. So my name is Kara Lesky and welcome to the channel. So please subscribe to get notified of our regular live streams, which will be Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, and to get notified of our other new videos on both midlife crisis and meditation solutions for leaders. Now, of course, if you're going through a life challenge that isn't a midlife crisis, most of the tips and techniques will apply to you also. And I also help people with meditation solutions to fast track their personal growth, which leads to better career success, happier family lives, healthier relationships, and even better physical health for some people. Now, believe it or not, when you work on and heal the issues of your midlife crisis, your life gets easier. And the reason that people avoid their midlife crisis is they don't want to change. So midlife crisis was designed to make people work on their weaknesses so that they would develop. Now, for people that really do the deep inner work, which is what meditation helps you with, we're going to cover why meditation works for this. It leads to lasting feelings of happiness, joy, and a deep authenticity when you work on the issues of your midlife crisis. And I want to emphasize that just going and downloading an app might give you some temporary stress reduction, but it's unlikely to do anything to help with your midlife crisis issues. Apps are designed to be generic and basic, or at least they should be, otherwise they wouldn't be safe. And the meditation techniques that I'm talking about that actually help a midlife crisis are like prescriptions for each person, which is what traditional meditation teachers do. They look at a person's issues, their level of development, and which of the thousands of techniques that will move that person forward the fastest and the safest on their particular issue. Now, there's something else that an app can't do, and it's give you feedback on whether or not you're practicing the techniques correctly or even if you're practicing the right techniques. Honestly, I would love to just do an app and sell it, but it wouldn't give people what they really need, and that is what the most important thing is helping people with this in the most responsible way possible, in the fastest way possible that's still safe. Now, there's one more thing that working with an advanced teacher on meditation gives you, and that's that your consciousness raises to theirs, or at least closer to it temporarily when you're working with them, and that helps you to progress even faster, and you can't get that in an app. So let's talk about what meditation's really doing. Yes, it's slowing your thoughts down, and yes, you're reducing stress, but those are beginner level outcomes of meditation, and they're certainly valuable if you have them, and especially if you haven't had it in the past. But that's not what you're going to need to get successfully through your personal midlife crisis quickly. Your midlife crisis is about your karma, and many people don't really understand karma, so let's start with that. Your karma is habits, and most of the time things you're not aware of. They're your default settings, and maybe you get triggered emotionally, or maybe you just avoid things. It's maybe where you either can't see people in situations for what they are, or where you've not had good boundaries in the past. And all these issues and more that are karmic get in the way of manifesting the things in your life that you really desire. And sometimes things you didn't even know that you wanted or that you weren't really ready to admit to yourself. Now, let me give you an example. I was training somebody this week who's mostly done their midlife crisis. And from the beginning, he was adamant that he wanted to figure out what he needed to do to keep his marriage together. And when he did the advanced meditations to erase his karma and blind spots, he realized that having a successful marriage with his husband was not possible. His husband's ethics did not agree with his, and he had been expecting for years that his husband would change and see the error of his ways. He was in love with who he wanted his husband to be, not who he was. His husband's ethics were about to cause him legal problems if he continued the relationship, so it was decision time for him. Did he value himself enough to stay out of trouble? Now, he'd been ignoring this aspect of his husband for most of their relationship. And in the beginning, he found the slightly dangerous aspect of his husband attractive, which of course it was, because it helped him to see his own karma around speaking up for his own ethics, even when it was difficult. Now, in his meditation journey, he had to heal many karmic issues to get to that point. His personal meditation journey took him from wanting to know what he had to do to stay together, to wanting to know the truth of their relationship, to realizing that he had a lot of inner pain that had nothing to do with his husband, to learning to love himself, to being ready to speak the truth and walk away from a situation that might compromise his ethics. Now, his journey involves several different styles of techniques, and he was able to make that journey and heal his inner pain in only a few years of daily practice. Now, because the right meditations work on root causes of issues, if you're doing the right techniques, you don't have to think through every conversation and every decision. If you're working on the roots, you do the right meditations, they heal the inner issues, and you behave differently and you make different decisions. Often to the surprise of the people that practice the techniques. Even me, there have been times I'm like, wow, I did that differently. And let me give you another example. So I was working with another client this week that often gets triggered by a colleague at work. He'd been practicing advanced techniques to erase karma, which is what a midlife crisis is all about. And I asked him what he noticed differently since our last session. And he told me when his colleague started to say something that would have caused him a huge disagreement in the past, instead he had compassion, which means the wish for well-being for his colleague. And he realized that his colleague was acting that way because he was actually very insecure and afraid that if he wasn't always pushing other people's buttons emotionally, he wouldn't matter in business and probably other areas in his life as well. Now, my client realized that he didn't have to say anything to this person in this case. And sometimes a lack of response is the best response. He did, however, not waste any time on getting upset or fighting with this person, which typically would have wasted at least half a day in the past. Instead, their interaction was about 10 minutes. Then he forgot about him, got his work done, and went and spent time with his family. Now, this client had been working on not getting overly emotionally affected by other people because it was very draining for him. And I don't mean that he was lacking emotional intelligence or emotional awareness. What I mean was he wasn't getting sucked into emotional drama that was causing him to get off track from what he needed to do. So very often he just gave in on negotiations, whether they were something small or something big, just because he was exhausted from the emotions of the other person. Now, he told me he was really looking forward to seeing what was going to happen in his next deal in his negotiations as a result. Is in the past, this was the least favorite part of his work, and now he realized how this could actually be something where he could see himself doing really well. Now, the right meditations accomplish these inner changes in a few weeks to a few months, or in really strong cases, if this is one of your core issues, it might take up to 3 years. But they save hundreds of thousands of hours of struggling through issues with people that are never going to have the outcomes that you want and that you're never going to feel good and satisfied with. Now, the other thing is you can't avoid your midlife crisis issues because your aura or your energy field will continue to attract people and events to you to help you see what needs to change in you. You have to learn what is necessary now for your personal growth in your midlife crisis. You can do it now, you can do it later, but you can't opt out. So how can you start today? Well, you can start to improve your life and your midlife crisis with the right meditation techniques, or you can continue to struggle and fail and feel uncomfortable. Honestly, the choice is yours. So if you want to get on the fast track and heal the issues of your midlife crisis faster than just struggling through them, you can book an evaluation with me at the link in this video. In your personal evaluations, we will look at what stage your midlife crisis that you personally are in, the cost of doing nothing to move it forward, and a personal meditation plan to move you forward quickly that's at the right level for you and on the right issues for your midlife crisis. So you can book a call with me at the link in the notes for this video.